Should I start or should we wait a few more minutes for the attendees? Okay, I think we can start now. Good evening all and welcome to tonight's Young Scholar and Seminar Series talk organised by the Yunus Emre Institute in London. For those who may not be familiar, the Yunus Emre Institute in London is a cultural institute with an aim of increasing cross-cultural dialogue between Turkey and the UK through its various events and courses. The Young Scholar Seminar Series in particular was launched in 2017 with the aim of creating a platform giving postgraduate students research into global topics or Turkey-related matters the opportunity to present their research to the wider public, to encourage the exchange of knowledge and to facilitate networking opportunities. Tonight, as our guest speaker, we have architect Büşra Berber joining us to discuss sensory experience in human building interaction. Thank you, Büşra, for joining us today. We are delighted to have you here. Büşra is an architect and researcher who's currently a PhD candidate at the Bartlett School of Architecture, UCL. She has previously completed her Master's in Architecture and Urbanism at the University of Manchester. Büşra is currently a UCL Sustainability Ambassador working in collaboration with Camden Council. And she's currently carrying out research to try and understand how visitors in museums and galleries perceive and interact with different sensory environments. I would now like to pass on to Büşra. Please be advised that there will be a quick Q&A section at the end. And if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to drop them down below in the Q&A section. Or if you are joining us through our social media platforms, you can also DM your questions and we'll get them asked. So Büşra,
thank you so much for inviting me to have a talk on the Yunus Emre Institute, London. I'm delighted to be here, and also I'm very excited. Hope I need a few minutes to get relaxed and present my talk today. Also, thanks so much for attending to participants. I would like to say I can share my screen and start with presentation at the same time. So if you have a problem to see my screen, please let me know in some point. Yes. First of all, I would like to start by asking about this queue. What is this queue? What is for? Why these people are waiting long hours, and for what? Maybe from Turkey, from Istanbul, some people have heard about this, but they are waiting for an exhibition. It is surprising for long queue. Like one person they are stating they are waiting 3 hours, 4 hours to enter this exhibition. It is really interesting. This exhibition is located in a museum in Istanbul, which is created by Refik Anadol, Turkish artist, and the visitor numbers was incredible. People just were waiting to see this fascinating built environment with together art installation. Why I start with this installation, maybe you wonder, because I'm searching why people are connecting with building thanks to sensory experience, how it is effective to attract them and let them wait long hours to experience this environment. So I am Büşra Berber. I'm an architect and researcher. at Bartlett currently, and my research area is sensory experience in human building interaction. My background is briefly can be stated in this way. I have studied my bachelor degree in Turkey, then I have studied in Poland a year as an Erasmus student. Then I went back to Turkey. Then I come back to Manchester for my master degree at University of Manchester. Currently, I am continue my PhD studies at Bartlett. Also, I'm volunteering as a sustainability ambassador in Camden Council. I would like to frame what I will talk about today. It will be in different sections in this way. Firstly, I will start with sense, and the rest will be related with human building interaction, and my research project I will state about briefly. What can you get as a beneficial from this webinar? Maybe you are an architecture student, maybe you are an architect, or you are just a visitor, a museum visitor, or installation enthusiastic. This can provide you define your excitement and your attachment about this kind of designs and installations and buildings, and you can have a new perspective. Maybe you are already involving in this, but it is important to be aware about all these aspects as an architect and as an architectural designer, adding this sensory aspect to the built environment, not only physical materials. So I will talk about the tools and design and perception. I would like to start with this quote from Plasma. He is incredibly stating the main idea of the architecture is the art of reconciliation between ourselves and the world, and this mediation takes place through the senses. So I would like to continue by talking about senses, but it is important to have a look the background, who was the first considered in the architecture space and how they did use mediative space in the architectural building or space. Le Corbusier, 1958, he is invited to design a pavilion for the expo in Brussels by Philips Technology Company. And then his assistant architect and he designed this expo building. This is the first precedence of what we are talking about. He said, "I will not make a pavilion for you, but an electric poem and vessel containing the poem, light, color, image, rhythm, and sound joined together in an organic synthesis." Basically, they design a shell for these sensorial experiences by using different tools other than concrete, steel, whatever. It is interesting to see in that years people were experiencing this kind of installations. As you can see in this picture, people are just enjoying with immersive experience by laying down the building, the light show and music show. Music also was composed by them, by architects. It was spatial for this space and spatial for this sensorial experience. Also, they screen the filming on the architectural surface. This is the first precedence of this sensory environment creation. when we having look at this precedence, I can summarize this components with human building and sense. They are creating sensorial interaction and experience. And we can ask, what is sense? According the basic definition is an ability to understand, recognize, value, or react to something, especially any of the 5 physical abilities: to see, hear, smell, taste, and feel. We can extend these senses such as balance, movement, tactile, etc. And how we can designing for sense, how we can consider sense in the architectural design. Obviously, architecture is all visual, but there is more to it than meets the eye. We feel it, we can hear it, we can touch it, and it improves the attention to the building and in interaction with human and building relationship. In our body is surrounding by architecture as well as the other tools. How we can design the sense, which tools we are using. I would like to share my one of first experiences as a sensory environment from London. I have visited here in Tate Modern 2019. And I would like to talk about the moment when I come across and that moment when I take this photograph. This is a 15-meter tunnel, which is filled with fog, colorful fog, and the 2-meter wide, but you cannot see the boundaries. The walls are invisible. There is no boundary. You feel it is in endless space. Even you don't feel it is a space. It is just an emptiness with color. And when you start walking in it, at first you have people in front of you. You can see the direction. It is the right side. Okay, go through the front. But then when you lost the people, there is no direction. I lost my direction sense. I couldn't find what is the front, what is the wall, where I came from. It was very interesting feeling. And I recognized the architecture is invisible. It can be with different tools. In this one, light and fog was the tool. Another example, this is another white box, but I can wave you by using my shadow. It is filled by projections and overlapping white colors, and you can see background. It was this. These installations are making our sensory experience, creating our bond, and this was unforgettable experience for those who visit here, and it was a very effective one in social media. Also, you can see the comments from people. Another thing was rainbow. Oliver Ellison Studio has created a rainbow by using light and water. Again, there is no architectural boundaries. It is dark. There is only light and water supply. And when you have a person in front of you, there is a silhouette. This is another example from Tate. Having said this, I would like to ask what is sensory experience then? How we are creating it with tool, and we perceive the environment, and then it stimulates the sense. How we can map this and how we can use in our architectural designs, or as a user, how we can improve our awareness in the experience. the question is, the design of space can powerfully shape sensory experience, but how important is it to think about sound, smell, touch, and sight when planning a building? Maybe it is good to have a look at the process of experience to connect it with our architectural design process. The sensory perception is related to emotion. Emotion is connected to experience, and then experience, if the experience is meaningful for the people who is visiting the space or using the space, it gives the meaning. That's why people were waiting for hours in the queue for an art exhibition in Istanbul. I want to connect back, and a lot of examples can be given in this area. It is attracting the people because it is connecting people sensory. Also, in your personal life, you can remember the moments when you are too happy, too sad. It is connected with the psychology. So when you create huge effect on user's psychology, you have most powerful architectural space. Human building interaction is the research area actually connected with human-computer interaction. It has evolved from human-computer interaction. The question is how the interface between the occupants and building's physical space and the objects within it can be examined and can be mapped. And what can be the tools? This is the researcher side. And also you can see the Kangokuma exhibition in London. Also, there was other smell sense on this installation as well as light. My PhD questions start with how we perceive the built environments. I'd like to ask our participants these questions as well. Maybe you can consider and think on the behind of this speech. Have you ever experienced an immersive installation? Which was it? Do you remember it? Did you like it? And have you seen same space in different digital modifications? This is also very interesting. It's interesting how they can change the architectural environment. Have you feel occupation on your senses by a space? As an architect, I have a huge passion with the architectural space, but normal user can feel huge connection with architectural space if sensory experience is enhanced deeply as well. Now I would like to invite you a small virtual sensory experience and think about the questions that we have talked about earlier. This is Birmingham Hippodrome, and it is accommodating Van Gogh Alive exhibition in UK. This is a kind of small short video, but it gives insight from the exhibition. I would like to show a few minutes from this. So this is Van Gogh Alive exhibition is presented with light, sound, color, and fragrance. It is inviting you a colorful experience and affecting your sensorial perception. Normally, it is just white museum walls, and it is a white box. You can see the paintings on the architectural components. It is fascinating. But the question how we can capture, how we can reproduce and remap the user journeys, visitor journeys. This is the same exhibition, but in York Church, which is totally different architectural environment. This is a historical architectural space with different components, and the surface is irregular. We can see how different same exhibition in the building, and the building has been transformed into totally different sensory experience. Another video from there. Cut it here. This is amazing to compare the buildings with the same similar content and how we perceive the building environment, how the mediative space and tools can change our perception through the light, sound, and smell. This is a kind of method to map our feelings. It is a good starting point to think about sensory experience. As a user, as a designer, as an enthusiastic for the architecture, you can use this MPT sensory map. This system has been created by Raymond Lucas, who is a doctor in University of Manchester. And you can maybe, if you wish, test yourself, your feelings from this chart through these videos as a nice mapping method. I would like to say this is a kind of time and space play. With architecture is the main part, but slides and other tools are making this play real. Another example is from Manchester. Probably many of you have heard about this designed by Leveskind. The Big Show exhibition screen, this is temporary, permanent exhibition, which is telling about Second World War or other the rest of the war stories. The people are embodying by surrounding by lights and projected stories. This is the last example from London. You can still visit it if you are in London, which is created by sound, wind, and temperature and texture. You can ask the big questions at the beginning. What is the intention of the architect, designer, and visitor? Why these are very interactive and attractive for the people? And then I would like to complete with a quote from Asif Khan. Architecture is about an entire experience. All the senses that are stimulated are vectors of that architecture. You can reach the videos from YouTube about Van Gogh Alive. Also, you can have a look this further source if you are interested in. I would strongly recommend for you. I would like to thank you for participating today, and feel free to contact me via my email. Thank you.
Massive thank you, Büşra, on behalf of the Institute for your insightful talk tonight. We are now going to go on to our Q&A section of the talk. if anyone has any questions, please feel free to forward it through the Q&A box on the bottom right-hand corner. Or if you're watching through our social media, you can DM us your question through there as well. There we go. Okay, so Amy is asking, when we talk about sensory experience, how can we move past only the visual stimuli? How can we appeal to the other senses like vestibular and proprioceptive senses?
Yeah, actually, the visual stimuli is the most strong one. It appeals strongly us, but the new insights from designers, especially the installation designers, they use, for example, chocolate. They put in front of the painting, and then when you are looking at the painting, you can eat the chocolate. Or without eating chocolate, how do you feel? How you connect this feeling, visual experience with chocolate, your taste sense? This kind of like different content in the architectural space gives us more like the other sense. This can be extended by balance, by movements. It is amazing to see, for example, from Olafur, there was a wall surface covered with how can I say, different material. You can touch it and you can enhance your tactile feeling. Maybe if I can answer this, I would like to say in this way.
Thank you. Hope that has answered Amy's question. Another question here. So for an architecture student, which stage should an architecture student think about sensorial components?
Actually, I would say the architectural design a kind of like writing a poem. You're thinking a word for the users, like you are shaping their life. That's why you can think about what is the feeling that you want to give them. So from the starting point, we could draw a sensory journey for the users. It would enhance our architectural design skill as well, because architectural design includes already this, but at the school, at the university, we are maybe not aware of this. We are just aware of the physical space and what we see, but what we don't see is also a tool to create impactful architectural environment. So from the beginning, we could imagine with sense. For example, you could create a small map. You can search in Google. There are lots of examples how you can create a smell journey even in a street. Also, you can practice by doing existing building or cityscape journeys with color codes. It is really interesting area to learn about more.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We have an attendee asking, how do you actually draw these spaces? So I guess from the planning perspective, when designing these spaces, how do you draw them?
Draw?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, we start like, this is very general architectural question I'm taking in this way. If I'm wrong, whoever they can ask again the point. We always start with analyze, like environmental analyzing. What is the wind, where it's come from? What is the existing architecture being the environment? Who is the user? Who is the how can I say, the future user or existing materials what we have. So after analyze, we have building program, and then the architectural novel, I mean the medium, what we want to tell about what we want to tell with this building, how we want to shape the user's life. This is very deep process, and some people say like it is an art, but most people say like architecture it's not an art, because there is a commission you have. It is not for joy only. We have to address the necessities of the user, and if we have for someone, if you are doing for someone, for customers. So it is really deep conversation, or we can speak more later.
Thank you very much. Is there any more questions? Yes, so we have a question here. How do you connect the materials and the emotions?
Right. Actually, there are lots of laboratories studying on materials and how we can create sensory experience. One of them is in MIT in America. They study on food, on other kind of materials like biologic materials. It can be widening through these laboratory studies, but currently, for example, what I shown in Oliver studio installations, they use water, they use light to create like different sounds. Also, water can be visual as well, with color, paint, mirror, and maybe sponge. The wall is covered by sponge. So the different materials can be used in different way. For example, mirror is on the top of the ceiling, not on the vertical wall. It can reflect all the room experience to you back. This kind of examples can be given.
This is quite interesting because I remember my last trip to IKEA. There was an installation of a shower, and then they had actual like real water dripping down, and it caught my eye. It was very interesting. And when I think of IKEA now, I automatically kind of link it with that installation I saw.
Yeah, it is a kind of connection with your senses, so it is unforgettable anymore for you. Good marketing strategies has been developed on this as well. It is really impactful marketing area.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's it, Büşra. I don't see any more questions coming in. So if that's the case, I'm happy to end it here. I don't know if you have anything to add, but thank you so much for being with us tonight. And if anyone does have any questions, they can reach out to you through, I think you shared your email. If not, they can reach out to the Institute and we will forward them on to Büşra as well. So thank you all for joining and listening to our talk today. Hope to see you back soon.
I would like to thank you as well, to you, to Mr. Karakush and Yunus Emre Institute and participants. It was very enjoyable for me.
Thank you, Büşra, again for being with us tonight. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.